What's going on, guys? Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. During the conversation that is about to be had, there were some technical difficulties. It was definitely my fault. It was my equipment, but hopefully you guys will stick around to hear the conversation because it was a great one. So with that being said, thank you guys again for tuning in, and let's get started. What's going on, brothers and sisters? How are you guys doing? Man, oh man, this has been a very, very long time coming. You guys know that I love to have you guys on that are a part of the Analog Circle community. And this gentleman right here, he actually took over the Facebook group that I tell you guys about, the Analog Circle Facebook group, when I was an absentee landlord. I wasn't posting much there. This brother truly helped me out to get through that drought when I wasn't recording or wasn't able to. I've mentioned him on the show before. He's just a fantastic guy. I can't wait to get into the conversation with this gentleman. But I want to welcome to the show Mr. Lawrence Jones. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm fine. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure. It truly is a pleasure. It's a blessing and a pleasure. It's all at the same time.
The pleasure is all mine, brother. I just truly appreciate everything that you've done. And if I could ask you, Lawrence, I have to ask this, brother, how are you able to stay so consistent with the different stories, with the different news, sites that have all of these different stories? Because, brother, you post multiple times in a day, and that can be pretty difficult to do. So I'm just curious to know, for a person like myself who does suffer from, some discipline here and there, how were you able to just keep a consistent schedule for years? This has been going on. I'm just curious to know, how were you able to do that, man?
It's one of those things where I started posting stuff, and then it was just a consistent thing where I was like, well, it's about that time. And, I have so many different, feeds on my timeline and different stories that deem appropriate. I'll post them. And it's just one of those things where, it's something goes off in my head and I'm like, okay, it's time to post. And hey, I'll be at work. I'm on my break. Going through my phone. It's time to post. I'm on lunch, and it's time to post. It's just one of those things that I've done, like you said, consistently, and it's without effort, to be honest. I've been doing it for so long now. It's without effort. There's sometimes, and I'll feel bad if I'm busy over the weekend and I don't post nothing. Then a flurry of posts just come up on that Monday or late that Sunday evening. But it's just one of those things that's in me, and it just comes out like that.
Man, well, I'm going to tell you, Lawrence, it is greatly appreciated. It's been times, Lawrence, I can tell you this too, man. It's been times where I would be kind of struggling to, find different stories to write about. I go into the group, I'm like, you know what, let me go and take this one, let me take that one, and just add it into the podcast. So I just want to say again, Lawrence, though, thank you so much for everything that you do. It's just greatly appreciated, my brother.
Not a problem at all.
Yes, indeed.
Not a problem.
Yes, indeed. So why I have you here, Lawrence? We got to talk about some gaming, my brother. We got to talk about
Yes, indeed. Let's do it.
Yes, indeed. So Lawrence, now we know what happened over the past week. The Xbox community, my brother, was in shambles to a certain degree. We had guys that have been in the Xbox community for years, faithful to the brand, start jumping ship, start saying this is not the direction I was intending for them to go in. This is something I cannot get behind. And it all stemmed from Phil Spencer and the team, Xbox team,
Yeah.
actually starting to put certain games that were exclusives that actually were never released on any other console. They started to say, well, Phil Spencer never said exactly which ones were coming, but we do know there are four titles that are
Four
coming.
titles.
Four titles, brother, that are coming to the
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation brand, the PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
Four of them joints. I'm just
Yeah.
curious to know, Lawrence. Now, of course, like I said, Phil Spencer never said what those were, but people are tending to think that it's going to be Hi-Fi Rush, going to get Sea of Thieves,
Mm-hmm.
Pentiment, and that other game, Grounded. Grounded is being the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Two of them being multiplayer games, and two of the other ones being more so campaign-driven games. So I was just curious to know, Lawrence, what were your thoughts on that when you see the direction that Xbox seems to be taking?
Uh, Let me start by saying this. Xbox has been playing a different game altogether versus PlayStation. PlayStation, they're in the console war thing where we're gonna one up you and get an exclusive and outdo you, and they're in that circle. Xbox, they've been kind of building, you know, I guess stepping stones to do something on a grander scale. And I think we're starting to see it now. Starting to see parts of it. We are really starting to see when it comes down to what their game plan was from the very beginning, because there was a time where Xbox didn't have no games. So what did Microsoft do? Hold my beer. Let me go buy this one. Let me go buy that one. And RBK, y'all want to come over and Activision? All right. So that's, and they have a strategy that's totally different from the old console war.
I
You
would agree
know,
with that, Lawrence. I would absolutely
yeah,
agree with that. I mean, it's one thing, Phil Spencer, um, he's never really been my cup of tea, brother. I've been on
yeah,
record for
yeah.
years that I didn't agree and still don't. I mean, I still don't agree with what Phil Spencer is doing, but I will say that after I heard it in full,
Mhm,
the way he presented it, and then start talking about the industry, and talking
mhm.
about having to get more people into the industry in order for the industry to pretty much keep going, I kind of could understand that stance. But I just always have been of the mindset that you need exclusives. How are you going to get people into your brand if you don't give them a reason to? So when he says that, we all win when everybody plays, and I'm like, come on, Phil, we are the world, we are the children. I'm like, come on, man, just worry about your platform first. And I've always felt that Phil Spencer, to a certain degree. Now, I would love to ask you this, Lawrence. I mean, we're definitely going to continue the conversation with the podcast that happened, but as a Xbox owner, a person that has put their money, invested their money into this brand, do you feel like Xbox, did they treat you like a first class citizen? And what I mean by that is, at one point in time, Lawrence, and I know you were there when they started putting their games on PC. PC was actually able to play online free. I mean, that's not any
Mhm.
fault of their own. PC has been able to do that for free. But it
Right.
seemed like certain games were coming out on PC that were not coming out on console. But it seemed like everything on
Mhm.
the console was coming out on the PC. So I'm just looking at it from that angle. Do you feel as an Xbox customer that you've been treated, fairly, that they've really had your best interest at hand?
Well, at the end of the day, it's a company. They're there to make money. Now, the way I feel about Xbox, the way they're so bad on messaging. You know, terrible. Oh my God, just so terrible. I mean, from the time of Don Matrick, you know, introducing Xbox One, you know,
Woo!
moving forward, they're just horrible. You know, and don't get me wrong, when I first heard about all the rumors and, you know, I was like, well, I didn't get up in the fuss because there was no official word. There was no official word. And personally, I feel that, like I said, they're on a whole different plan, but putting your exclusives on another platform, I I I guess in the long run, they're trying to squeeze every little bit of dollars out of these games, and you know, by introducing them to a different audience. But my thing is, you know, when you you when you do what Microsoft is doing, you kind of, how can I say, it's one of those things, you devalue your brand.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Why?
sir.
Why? You know, and I can understand now when you said when the games were going to PC, I kind of figured that that was coming already because Microsoft is Microsoft,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
and they have a monopoly of stuff, software. Basically, a software company. They have a monopoly of anything. So why wouldn't they? I mean, they have their hands in everything. Even on Macs, they have their hands on Macs. So why wouldn't they put games on PC? Now, this plan here, I can't fully agree with it, but we're along for the ride. And as far as how they treat me as a customer, like I said, the messaging is just horrible. If they would get in front of all these rumors and stop reacting, and I've listened to other podcasts and they've said the same thing, if they stop reacting to everything, as a customer, I'd feel more confident about what they're doing and what they're not doing.
I
But
100% agree with that, Lawrence, because it's one thing about Xbox that I'm sure we've all seen this. They have this pattern where they'll get on a roll with great news. They'll have great
mhm,
announcements. They'll have a great show. I mean, at the even case in point, the video game awards, those jokers
mhm,
showed up, man. They did an amazing job at that show.
yes.
But then they, as they always do, going back to what you said, Lawrence, messaging. When they showed Blade on that
Mhm,
stage, everybody was blown away, including me. As I was looking at my phone, I think I was in Buffalo at the time. Might have been in Buffalo. I was somewhere looking at the awards, and I was blown away to see that they got Blade. I'm like, man, they finally got a Marvel IP.
mhm.
Everybody's I don't know if they was high fiving for real. Man, I was high fiving myself, brother. I'm gonna tell you when I saw it, because I'm like, they're finally listening. This is amazing. But then after having that kind of great show, what did they do? What they always do, the messaging. They never put up there if it was a Xbox
Exclusive.
exclusive. I
Yeah.
said, come on, Phil.
Mhm.
Talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, they could have said something. Something. Just put the Xbox logo up there and, you know, only on Xbox, something. But they didn't.
Exactly.
And the rumors started. And I think from that show, moving forward to, let's say, 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
it just balled, you know, it was a
It
snowball
spiraled.
just getting
It's
bigger and
yup.
bigger.
It sure did. That's a good point too, Lawrence. You know what? Because I've never heard, and I mean, of course, we've heard it in the community, about if it was exclusive or not. But that's a really good jump off point, though, that you mentioned, because Blade, that was pretty much where the exclusivity question mark did start. Like, was it going to PlayStation? There was a lot of jokes. Oh, man, it's going to appear on PlayStation. We're going to get Blade as well. And it was kind of funny at first, but then when you kind of thought about it, you were like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, they did not actually say it was exclusive or not. Wait a minute. Let me rewatch this trailer again just to double check. And then it was like, wow, it really could possibly go over to the PlayStation side. So I'm really wondering, let me ask you this, Lawrence. I got to ask you this, brother, since we're talking about the podcast that just happened, Phil Spencer giving away 4 exclusives that were on his platform. Do you think, man, out of curiosity, do you think, how much of a possibility do you think it is that Blade is going to show up on PlayStation 5? I'm just curious, brother. I got to ask you.
I think it will be a time exclusive because they haven't said nothing. They haven't even addressed that, to be honest. They really haven't. I mean, they kind of addressed all the other issues that were boiling over, but there was no mention of Blade, and they're still not talking about it. So let's just say Blade comes out in September 2025. I expect to see it on PlayStation by June. Yeah, I mean,
man, I feel you though. I mean, because at this point in time, nothing is safe. Even in the I don't know if you read the it was an interview that Phil Spencer did. I believe it was with Tom Warren. He had an interview with him, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase here, but Tom Warren pretty much asked him, is anything off of the table when it comes to certain Xbox games? Are there just some games that just will not go to the competing platform, as it were? And Phil Spencer said, in so many words, I can't really commit to that. I can't commit to that. And I understand, like you said, Lawrence, very, very good point. These are companies. These are businesses.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. The thing that matters the most to them is making sure that they're taking care of their shareholders. They have a duty to them, and making sure that that bottom line is where it needs to be. Profitability. I mean, we're seeing some results of what's happening with Sony with that right now, losing $10 billion because they didn't meet that bottom line that they needed to, in order to keep things where they needed them to be. So I do get it from that standpoint. You got to do what's best for the company. And that also works in our favor as well, because if we want these companies to be around, they need to make the money, in order for them to stay. We've seen so many different gaming companies, especially us, Lawrence. I mean, we've been in this thing for years.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, many
decades.
Years. Yes, indeed, decades. And we've seen companies like Interplay go away. We've seen Midway go away.
Midway, that was a gut punch.
Yes,
that
sir.
was a gut punch.
Yes, sir. I never thought they would go anywhere. Acclaim, masters of the game, from back in the day. We've seen so many of these companies, unfortunately, go out of business, and it's because they didn't have the money to continue on. So I get it from the financial standpoint, but I just, Lawrence, the thing, and I think we're kind of on the same page here too, brother. It's just, like you said, very good point where you said, by them doing this, it devalues their Xbox ecosystem, which makes me wonder, I kind of feel like I know what the end game is. I don't want it to be what I think it is, but it just makes me wonder, how long can this stand? Because as a PlayStation 5 owner, I got to say, Lost, a proud PlayStation 5 owner. I'll be honest, man. And this actually, well, before we get there, because I was gonna put in there, what was I gonna say, Lawrence? Oh yeah, it's being a PlayStation 5 owner. Man, I got, hey brother, I got questions, man. I got
Yeah.
questions about what other games are possibly coming over to the PlayStation platform.
Hmm.
Now, me, I'm a little different in the sense, Lawrence. I just come from that era where certain games you just want to play on that console that it's known for.
Right.
So I would feel
Right.
crazy trying to play Gears of War on a PlayStation. Not saying that would happen, but I would
Right.
feel just out of place. Like I would probably feel just kind of wrong. Like, dang, I shouldn't be doing
Mm-hmm.
this. I should have an Xbox controller in my hand. But it's just the fact that Phil Spencer has put them in this. I can't, and this is the other thing. I think sometimes I give Phil Spencer more smoke than he deserves, though, because
Yeah.
at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's really not his call. At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, I mean, it's what's his name? Golly.
Sadia
Yeah,
Nadella.
Satya Nadella. Yeah, Satya Nadella.
Yeah.
He's the guy running the ship. I mean, for real. So Phil has to do what this guy says. And that's
Mm-hmm.
understood. But it's just sometimes I just think, man, what would Xbox be at this point in time if they just possibly stayed the original course? Because it was a lot of backtracking, a lot of backpedaling. Like you said, Lawrence, to your point, again, a terrible amount of messaging at that
Oh yeah.
time. I just kind of wonder, not even just for the past, but for the present, if Phil Spencer and team would just stick with what they say they're going to do. Because you remember this, Lawrence, and I don't want to take over the conversation, Lawrence. So if I'm talking too much, let me know. Say, man, Kiaun, let me get a
Oh,
word
have
in,
at it. Have at it. Have at it.
But what I was going to say, though, Lawrence, is we both heard Phil Spencer, and I've mentioned it on the podcast before, so forgive me, Lawrence. But
Mm-hmm.
we heard Phil Spencer say at one point in time that their games, Xbox games, would only be on platforms that have what, Lawrence? Game Pass.
Game Pass. Yeah.
And we
That-
see now that PlayStation, of course, we don't know what the Switch is, what that situation is going to be. If these same 4 games that are going to PlayStation are going to appear on Switch, maybe Switch 2, maybe not.
Maybe,
First.
yeah, maybe Switch 2.
Yeah. But he says so many things, and then you got to backtrack. And it's like you said, it makes it hard to really be
Mm-hmm.
able to take them for their word, to do what they say they're going to do.
And the thing is, I think, was it Matt Booty? He said that Game Pass is not going anywhere.
He did.
Game Pass is primarily going to be on an Xbox console. So that statement within itself is a contradiction of what was said previously. So it's, I'll say this, being an owner of Xbox and being in their ecosystem, it's crazy because you don't know what to believe. But my thing is, it'd be crazy to see Master Chief on a PlayStation. It'd be crazy. It'd be crazy to see, like you said, Gears of War on a PlayStation. They if they do something like that, which I don't think they ever would, because they know that they would really be devaluing their own brand. But where's the line going to stop at? Really, where's the line going to stop? Or what game could possibly be next? It, I would say this: the game after these initial 4 will be a game that they want to squeeze more revenue out of. It might be an indie title that maybe that they help produce or they have a dog in the fight, something that is just short of the margin that they wanted, to reach, they'll put it over there.
Let me ask you something, Lawrence. Now, some people are probably going to get a little mad at me for this, brother. But do you think Starfield could make its way over to PlayStation?
No,
You
no,
don't think so?
no. Granted that it is coming from, a third party developer. It is, but I don't, if it does, it would be, I would say, in a very long game of 5 years. In a very long game, because they're going to release a lot of DLC for Starfield, and they're doing it. They're going to do it very slowly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I played. Look, I'm in Starfield deep. I've played over 200 hours.
What? 200 hours, Lawrence? Are you
and
serious?
still haven't
What?
and still haven't finished the campaign. Still have not finished
Wait a
the campaign.
minute, Lawrence. Wait a minute. Now, this is good for me. This is good because I have not had a chance to actually talk to somebody in real time about their experience with Starfield. I gotta ask you. Well, obviously, 200 hours in, it must be an incredible game. It has to be.
It is. It is.
Wow.
It's one of those games. Okay, think of it like this. When you get on the internet, in the early days of the internet, you got on the internet, you clicked on one thing, and then, oh, what's this over here? You click on that. Oh, what's this over here? You click on this, and before you know it, 8 hours have passed. and and that's what Starfield has done for me.
Wow.
It has shut down any other game that I really wanted to invest time in. It's just one of those games where I'm invested, like I said, over 200 hours and not even halfway through the campaign.
Golly, Lawrence. I'm truly shocked, man, because, and of course, we know what online is. You can never, ever go off of what's being said online. Everything is trash.
Right.
According to the internet, everything is terrible. Everything is a 4 out of 10. It's repetitive. Combat is terrible. It's just so much negativity online. You can't take it seriously. But the thing that made me question Starfield a little bit, and I guess I should have known better, but it was that people who had been very, very big Bethesda fans, of Fallout, of the Elder Scroll franchise, guys that had been with Bethesda for many years. I'd heard some of them, and this is on podcasts, in different groups, people were talking. But you heard that just didn't really match up to those previous outings that Bethesda had. Now me, Lawrence, I can tell you, brother, I'm not a big Bethesda fan per se. I'm not. I haven't really. This is the crazy thing. I bought Fallout 4, but I haven't even touched it. I bought it digitally, planned on playing it. I haven't even touched it, brother. Along with probably 25 other games that I've bought and meant to get to, but just haven't. But Lawrence, let me tackle it from this angle, Lawrence. So have you been in the past a pretty big Bethesda fan of like the Fallout series, the Elder Scroll, or whatever games that they've brought out in the past?
No, I haven't. I mean, and that's what's shocking to me. That's what's really shocking to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I bought Fallout 3, or was that a Game Pass game? 3. I have 3 and 4.
Okay.
I have not finished them. I probably put maybe 5 to 10 hours in both of them, and just it just fell off. And Starfield, I did not have any expectations of it, but I think it was the closer it got to the release date, I started to dig deeper, and I was like, okay, maybe this is something that was going to fill that Mass Effect hole that I have, and
Great
it sure
franchise, by the
did.
way. It did, huh, Lawrence? Golly, man.
Yeah,
200 hours.
and
That
counting.
is
I mean,
unreal, man. I'm just
yeah.
sitting here. So I gotta ask you, because I'm really tripping a little bit right now. 200 hours. I've heard certain guys on different podcasts talk about how much they've played it and how great it was, and just going on all of these different adventures. And in my mind, Lawrence, I mean, these are Xbox fans, right? So I'm like, oh no, he might have his cap, his cap hat on a little bit for this one. But coming from you though, Lawrence, coming from you that has not had a long history, with the different Bethesda games that have come before Starfield. It's just very interesting to hear your perspective, especially when you said there were no expectations. And I think sometimes that does work out much better when it's really, you don't really know what to expect, and you're just going in kind of blind, like, hey, I'm just going to try it out. Seems like a cool game. Like you said, Lawrence, it might kind of fill that bit of the Mass Effect hole that I have. Maybe it can kind of
Yeah.
help with that. And you just go into it, just with an open mind. And
Right.
it's just, just incredible to hear that that was your experience, that, and you still haven't beat the game yet. 200 hours in, people, and this brother still has not beat the game. That is unreal, man. Unreal.
Let me say this. When you play that game, you don't want to finish the campaign. There's so many different lanes to go down. You could be walking into a restaurant and you overhear a conversation between two NPCs. Then you see that that's an option for you to go on an adventure to get whatever it is that they were talking about. It's not mandatory, but it's something you can do. And it's one of those games. Like I said, I mean, you're on a planet, you think it's desolate. Hey, stranger, could you get me some water? And there's no water on that planet, so you got to go through, you know, over the hill and through another galaxy to get some water for this guy. It's
Man.
just one of those games that they took 20, what I think Todd Howard said he was like 25 years to make this game.
Yeah, it was 25 years he had been thinking about making a game
Right,
of this magnitude, pretty much. Yeah, so it
right,
had been in a
right.
sense 25 years in the making, but I think it probably took him like 6 or 7. but
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
idea was 25 years in the making, for sure.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Tag, man. I'm gonna tell you, Lawrence, brother. Um man.
Like I said, it's not for everybody, but like I said, it
Yeah.
filled that hole I had. That, let's just say, what was the last, Andromeda dropped the ball. It filled that hole and then some, because you're not trying to save the universe. You're on an adventure. You're going to think of it as Star Trek. You're going to discover stuff, but you don't have to always maintain to the prime directive. You can do what you want. You really can.
Wow. Let me ask you, Lars, before I ask you another question. How how many ships do you have, brother? Do you have more than one ship?
I have about 6.
God, dog, this brother's committed.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get caught
Wow.
slipping, I'll jack your ship.
Man, oh man. So that's real. You actually can go out there and jack a whole ship, Lawrence. Take it,
Yeah.
it's yours.
Yeah, but you gotta fight the combatants that are on the ship.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
have
yeah.
to, or you're someone you're in a dogfight with somebody and you disable their ship. You can board their ship, register it. Now it's your ship.
Hey, come on, Lawrence. I mean, and
Yeah.
the thing is, Lawrence. Now, I don't want to act like I haven't heard these things before. But it's like I said, sometimes, you know, I guess my spidey senses are up a little bit. I'm like, man, I don't know. I mean, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but
hmm
I don't
hmm
know if it's gonna play out like that. If it played, because these guys had me thinking, like you said, they were on like these crazy adventures in this game.
Yeah.
Just doing all of these different things, jacking all of these ships, and having a fleet of them. And I've heard about the registering, as well, making
hmm
sure that you do that. Because I think what if you don't, you get in trouble by I guess the police out there, is it?
I I don't know. I've never had a ship that I did not register. I registered my
Okay.
ship because I want all those dead bodies out the way.
I dig it,
And
Lawrence.
then you can have the ship. Like I said, if you're in a dogfight and you take the ship, you need the ship repaired,
Yeah.
and then you can have it repaired. So,
Man, I'm gonna tell you, Lawrence. This actually leads me into another, a previous conversation that we had, and this is
hmm
interesting. It's a great segue too. As to why I haven't pulled the trigger
hmm
on the Series X, and I'm gonna tell you, Lawrence, this is the thing, man. This PS5, brother. This thing right here, man. It's like, when I do the podcast, Lawrence, and I want to say this not just to you, but whoever's listening, I do tend to find myself lately. I kind of
hmm
find myself, to a certain degree, Lawrence, and I mean, just being honest, doing a bit of a, just a check on myself. It's like I'm getting to the point, and this isn't fair either, where I'm like, man, PlayStation just, they can't do anything wrong right now. I mean, they're doing everything right. And that's not true. Every company
hmm
has things that they do wrong. But the reason why I feel that way, though, Lawrence, and again, I'm not
hmm
justifying it. I just want to kind of explain why it may come off sometimes like, PlayStation just, I don't really focus on the negative too much with the PlayStation, which
Right.
I do find myself more so, and this isn't the right thing to do, but I find myself focusing more, unfortunately, on the negative stuff on Xbox. I do. I don't
hmm
know, Lawrence. Do you think that? I mean, you can be honest with me, brother. Do you think that I kind of focus too much on the negative with Xbox and just so much more positive on the PlayStation side?
Well, I'll say this. At one time, Xbox needed it. They needed to hear that. They needed, and as a fan of Xbox, I was, right there. I might not have liked to heard it, but needed to be said. Moving forward, I think everybody takes special care to point out Xbox's inconsistencies, all their mistakes, and I think, but see, Microsoft has earned that. They earned that. They made people look over their stuff, whatever it is, with a very fine tooth comb. And where PlayStation, they're they have, and I'm coming from the perspective of when I think who was it? The president of Sony that said, "Go get a second job."
Oh, was that Shuhei Yoshida?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that
When
was
he said
Shuhei, I
that,
think.
yeah, when the PlayStation 3 came out, okay, and he said that, I was already working two jobs.
Man, I feel you.
I was already, and I felt some kind of way.
I
So,
feel you, Lawrence. I couldn't
you
stand that
know,
statement. My fault. Keep going, Lawrence. My
yeah,
bad, man.
yeah, that's all good. But like I said, I felt some kind of way, and I just, gravitated slowly because at that time, you know, coming off the Dreamcast, I wanted that other console. You
Dreamcast
know,
was incredible, brother. Amazing
yeah,
console.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, I agree, and but like I said, when they said that, it made me feel some kind of way. But now they're in a position where I think that they know that they have something good, but the piece is not all in place because with that loss of revenue,
10 billion,
ooh,
Lawrence. Goodness
yes.
gracious. That's more than
So
Xbox paid, I think, for Bethesda, isn't it? Didn't they pay like
yeah,
around like
yeah,
close to 8 billion for Bethesda?
8 billion.
God,
Yeah. So I mean, right now, I think PlayStation don't have any competition. So they're just cruising right along. Um, and that for me personally, I don't think that's good because Nintendo's out in space doing whatever. They're in their own lane. Um, and Xbox is the only competitor, but they're playing a different game. I don't know. I don't think you've been too hard on Xbox and too soft on PlayStation. But PlayStation, like I said, they've been doing a lot of things right. Yeah. And it just depends on what type of gamer you are. Now, I was there for the PS4 launch, day one, but when that PS5 came around, ah, ah, yeah, I'm stuck in the road. Yeah,
Lawrence said it's just not moving me right now, brother. It's not moving
yeah,
me. I hear you, man. I hear you, Lawrence.
yeah.
And that was the thing. Now, what I was gonna say, Lawrence, I'm getting back to the question that you asked me about pulling the trigger on the
Oh, okay.
Xbox. The thing that makes it kind of well, at the time it made it more difficult for me to pull the trigger was I just wasn't seeing this roadmap from
Hmm.
Xbox that would appeal to me. Whereas
Hmm.
on Sony's side, I mean, I've been playing, man, Lawrence, God, dog, brother. I've been playing God of War Ragnarok, phenomenal game. I'm in the middle of Ratchet and Clank right now, Rift Apart, fantastic. I played Spider-Man Miles Morales. That was another great game. Kena Bridge of Spirit. It's just like they've had all of these games that just it speaks to me, as a gamer. And when I look on Xbox's side to try to find that same production quality, that same quality that Sony puts into their games, it just it seems like it just kind of comes up for me just a little short. But I will say though that this last E3 that they did,
Hmm.
I mean, Lawrence, brother, they really, really told the mark on that show. And I wasn't
You
doing
talking
the
about the
right.
showcase, the developer direct?
No, 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 no. The actual which that was really good too. That was very good as
Huh?
well. But I was saying that I started to find myself shifting a little bit towards the
Hmm.
Xbox brand during that E3 show last year, which that
Okay,
was the
gotcha,
best
gotcha.
E3 show they had done in I don't know how long, Lawrence. So I
Hmm.
was
I
like,
agree.
wow. I'm starting to finally see the roadmap a little bit. And then going to the video game awards, seeing what they did there. I mean, of course we don't know about Blade yet, but, we didn't get to that when we, get to it, and whatnot. But
Mhm.
seeing what they've done with that, and then this new direct that they did, showing off Indiana Jones, showing off Hellblade 2, as well as it was a third game there, Lawrence. What was the third game, brother?
Indiana Jones, Hellblade 2, uh,
I know I'm blanking
jeez.
on it too. Oh, Avowed.
Yeah, Avowed.
Avowed. And
Avowed.
Avowed.
And
Oh, go ahead, Lawrence. Go ahead, man.
no, the Avowed, and there was another game from Square Enix, I
Yeah,
believe.
yes, it was. Yeah, I think it was the
And,
Mana series. Was it
the
Mana?
Mana game. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and then they showed the wasn't a strategy game, but a RTS, I think it was. I forgot. But
Something like that.
that
Yeah.
was on PC though. But
Mhm.
seeing the moves that they are making now, it really started lining me up like, man, I think I gotta get an Xbox now because they're finally,
Mhm.
excuse me, Lawrence, they're finally giving me the games that I want to play. But
Mhm.
then, I mean, just man, like on cue. Oh man, going back to what you said, Lawrence, they trip again, and of course, I probably won't make my decision any different. But now they're bringing certain games to the PlayStation. I'm like, dang, man,
Mm.
you had me on the hook. You were reeling me in. Only thing stopping me, Lawrence, really was just coming up with the money to buy it. That's it.
Right.
But then I'm like, God, dog, man, now you're saying the games actually, at least some for now, only for now, are coming to
Mhm.
the PlayStation brand. I'm like, in the back of my mind, only in the back of my mind, Lawrence, will I
Mhm.
act on it? Probably not. But in the back of my mind, I'm saying, man, if I hold out long enough, I don't know, something else might come my way on the
Well,
PlayStation
a
brand.
lot of
But
I've heard that before. Yeah,
yeah,
I've heard. Uh,
yeah. But at the same time, though, Lawrence, just as a gamer, that just loves the culture, just loves the
mhm.
gaming culture, I will more than likely just pick one up because, they've turned things around. They have all of these studios, Lawrence. They own ABK. They own it.
Yes.
Crazy. They own, man, when you go down the list of games, Lawrence, that they have, just on the first person shooter market, they got Halo, they got Doom, they got Wolfenstein, they got
Mhm.
Call of Duty, Lawrence. I mean,
Yes.
it's like these guys have one heck of a doggone lineup they could have come out. I mean, it could
Mhm.
be incredible. So they're just sitting on tons of IPs. They got Tony Hawk, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon. I mean, the list just goes on, and that's not even including some of the new IPs that they're going to be working on. So it's like,
Mhm.
man, it's like to the point where I'm just like, man, it almost seems just like a no-brainer at this point to get an
Mhm.
Xbox. But just to answer it in short, I know I went all the way around the Mulberry Bush, Lord, pardon me, brother, but the reason why was really because they just weren't lining up with the same things that I wanted them to have as a gamer. Because just like yourself,
Mhm.
Lawrence, that is so interesting that we both had the same thought during that PlayStation 3 launch era where when
Mhm.
Shuhei Yoshida, I hope I'm saying his name right. No, not Shuhei
So
Yoshida. I
is it?
think I don't know. I don't know. I might have
I
his
don't
name
know.
wrong.
It's been so long
It's been
ago.
so long, man. But the gentleman that went up there and said you will get two jobs to get a
Yeah.
PlayStation 3. That was when I said, oh no, y'all are just way too
Mhm.
cocky. Y'all are way
Yeah.
too kind. I'm not doing that. Ain't no
Hmm.
doggone way. The one job I have, I'm like this, Lawrence. I'm barely above the water, brother. Barely breathing. I'm like, man, these guys are ridiculous. It is no way.
Hmm.
Just on principle, I'm not gonna buy it. And just like yourself, I gravitated more to the 360. And the 360 had the cheaper price point, and they had
Hmm.
Xbox Live. And at that time, I was a little more active online back then, Lawrence. Today, man, I would get washed in everything online. I wouldn't stand a chance, but but I'm telling you, Lawrence, that was when I started really rooting for Xbox to win, because I said, man,
Hmm.
PlayStation is just getting way too above themselves. They really need
Yeah,
this competition. So,
they do.
yeah, and Xbox, they had the games, amazing games. They had the service, they had the price point,
Hmm.
they had the value, they had the better value, So, yeah, it was the 360 era was just a golden era for the
It definitely
Xbox brand.
was.
It
Yeah.
was, and
Hmm.
just moved into the Xbox One console generation. And that
Boy,
joint became,
that was a
oh,
stumbling block out of no other. I mean, I just don't understand why they came out the way they did. And, you know, they just made themselves the a laughing stock in the gaming culture. They really did. And, you know, but I stuck with them. And don't get me wrong, I was there for day one. And there for day one for the PlayStation 4. So, you know, it's just one of those things. And, you know, I don't understand what were they thinking? TV, TV, TV. No. No, and
it was so
I guess it was growing pains. I'm not sure.
No,
I'm not
I
sure.
got you, Lawrence. I understand. Trust me, I do. And I can say this as well, Lawrence. Another thing, because you just kind of jarred my memory on this. The other thing that made me so upset with the current Xbox landscape, the Series X and the S,
Mhm.
was I had never seen, and I said this before, Lawrence, so I apologize for repeating it again, but I said I have never seen in console history that a brand new console release and you have no launch titles to go along with that console, and you are peddling as your selling point backwards compatibility out of all things. I said, you know what? Y'all have just lost it. I can't do this. I cannot justify this with $500. Y'all just left the previous generation with no new games, and you start
No.
a new generation in the same exact place you just left off
Hmm.
from. I said,
Yeah.
Lawrence, I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I don't fault you. I don't fault you. It's like you said, there was, you know, pushing, the back compat. But at the same rate, PlayStation, this generation, PlayStation 5, don't get me wrong now, they have some
Yeah.
great games, and I do want to get some of those games. However, a lot of what they're doing is remastering the remaster,
Oh,
remastering the
woo!
remake of the remaster. That's what they're doing. I mean,
It's terrible,
and it's just,
Lawrence. It's
it is.
terrible. It is
It
horrible.
is.
I'm sitting and all right, Lawrence. And now, I'm be honest here, brother. I will say this to you. Um,
Go ahead.
The Last of Us Part Two, brother.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. I said it before. I'll say it again, brother. I am just biased when it comes to that game. It was the
Mm-hmm.
greatest game I played last
Yeah.
generation. It was,
Yeah.
I don't know, Lawrence, did you play it last generation? Did you play The Last of Us?
Yes, I did. I played the Last of Us, the first one on PS3, and the second part on PS4. And I don't think you remember this, but I mentioned it. I said Abby could get it.
Yeah. I do remember that. That was in an email. Oh, shucks.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that, man.
yeah,
Darn. Wow. Wow,
yeah,
man. That's a heck of a memory. Dog.
yeah, man. I mean, like,
Man, Lawrence, you've been rocking out for a minute, brother. Good
yes, I
gosh.
have. Yes, I
Wow,
have.
man. Darn.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, Lawrence, that was just like my favorite game of last generation. So when
It's
I
a great
saw
game.
them, oh, it was awesome, man. So when I saw them say that they were remastering that one, Lawrence, I was like, I ain't gonna look. All right, go ahead and do
Yeah.
it. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead. I don't mind that one too much. But I did appreciate the fact though that they did make it so you could buy it, the PS5 version with all of the features in that version for $10. That actually made it a lot more appealing to
Okay.
me. Now, if they were selling it for $70 and that was the
Uh,
only way you could get it, yeah, I'd have probably I would have had a problem with that. I would have been
mhm.
like, it's okay for me, but what are you doing though, Sony? I mean, this game isn't even 5 years old yet, and you're actually
Yeah.
remastering it. Why? It looked amazing on the PS4. Why are you doing this? So yeah, everything over on PlayStation side, it is not great. I mean, again, just
Yeah.
reiterating what we talked about before, that $10 billion
Mhm.
loss ain't nothing nice. I mean, that ain't
Mm-mm.
nothing nice at all. That's happening over there. The constant remasters,
Mhm.
Hiroki Totoki coming out and saying that they're not going to have any first party titles until March, well, April, until after, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
March of 2025. That's
2025.
yeah, that's not good either. That's not
No,
good
it's not.
at all. And but this is the thing though, Lawrence. Oh man, I feel like this bias is about to come out again, my brother.
Come on.
Oh
Come on.
man.
Come on.
The only thing that I will say though, Lawrence, is they still have some pretty hefty games still coming. Even though they're not first party, we gotta
Mhm.
we gotta give them the L on that. It's not first party.
Right.
We know that
Right.
Xbox, they caught all kinds of heck for not, having a lot of first party titles. That was
First
like a
party games.
yeah, that was a huge ding on their record.
Mhm.
So the thing I will say though with PlayStation, and they got Final Fantasy 7,
Mm.
golly, what's it called? Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth coming out.
Rebirth? No, no. Is it Rebirth
I
or
think it's Rebirth. Yeah, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
the first one? The first one was Rebirth, wasn't it? The one that was on PS4.
And
Wasn't it
you know what? You
Rebirth?
know what, Lawrence? I'm about to look it up right now. Hold on, here we go. What is the sequel's name to Final Fantasy 7 on the PlayStation 5? Let me see. Oh, it's Rebirth.
Final
Yep.
Fantasy VII Rebirth. According to
Okay.
Wikipedia,
Yep.
Final Fantasy VII
Okay.
Rebirth
Oh,
is
man,
an
let me
upcoming
cut that
action
off.
role-playing game developed and published by Square.
All right. Hopefully you didn't hear
Okay.
that talk. Did you hear talking, Lawrence?
Yeah. Yeah. She was talking. She was
Oh, okay.
talking a
My
whole
bad.
lot.
My bad. Oh man, but
Yeah.
they got that coming out, Lawrence. They got Stellar Blade
Mhm.
coming out. Did you see Stellar Blade? I mean, they've been calling it, Stellar
Us-
Yams.
yeah.
But
Yes.
but
Yes.
the
Yes.
game looks
All
so
yammed up.
good,
It was
man.
all yammed up.
Oh man. So
Yeah, that's gonna be a good game. That's gonna
yeah,
be a
I think so. I think it looks very, very promising.
Mhm.
So it's like even though it's not first party, they still have exclusives. that are coming
Right.
only to their platform. And this
Mm-hmm.
isn't new for Sony though. Like you had mentioned earlier in the conversation, this has
Mm-hmm.
always been Sony's MO. They'll go for the second party and third party exclusives in a
Mm-hmm.
heartbeat, just to
Yes.
tide their customer base over until they're able to get their ducks in a row to
Yeah.
make sure that they're able to handle business on the first party front, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't really have a problem with that, Lawrence.
Right.
I think that when it came to Xbox, because I got to be fair here, I believe I was giving them the blues for not having first party, and they were
Mm.
at one point in time getting a few third party titles that were exclusives here and there. But I think the problem,
Right.
you know the problem I had though, Lawrence. I ended up thinking about it, brother. The problem I had was they just didn't seem like big enough titles. They were like double A's, a
Right.
lot of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
It wasn't a
True.
lot of triple A, exclusives that they were bringing out.
Right.
And if they were to stumble across one, it would be like 6 months of exclusivity, on the
Yeah.
brand. Whereas
Yeah.
PlayStation, brother, sometimes you don't know when those games are coming over to the other platforms.
Right.
You just don't know. It
True.
could be a
So
year.
very true.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a year, but you get other cases like the first Final Fantasy VII remake, where it still isn't
Mhm.
on the Xbox yet, and it's been several years
It
ago.
probably won't. It probably won't come to the Xbox at all. At this point, I think personally, I think they've whatever deal was there, it's not going to happen. It's definitely not going to happen because there's too much fluff and presence around you know Final Fantasy VII remake. It's too much, and it's all PlayStation, 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 and they're not going to give that up. They're not. No
Yeah,
way. No way
yeah,
at all.
I could definitely see that being the case for sure,
Mm-hmm.
100%. Well, Lawrence, before I get you out of here, brother, before I get you out,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to respect your time, man. I want to respect.
Oh, we're good on time. We're good on
Oh,
time
okay, okay.
because because once we get off of, if I have an extra hour or two, guess what I'm gonna do?
Let me take a guess, Lawrence. I want to take a guess, my brother. Are you gonna be hitting the
Yeah,
sticks?
yeah, I'm gonna hit them sticks.
Me
Yeah, yeah.
too, Lawrence. Me too, my brother. Me too. Oh man, yes indeed, man. But Lawrence, I gotta ask you though, brother.
Yeah.
Since we've been talking about the PlayStation brand,
Mhm.
PS5, what has it been, Lawrence, that has kind of kept you on the fence? I know you had alluded to it a little earlier in the
Right.
conversation,
Mhm.
but what has really kind of kept you at bay? Kind of like, not really quite there yet. Like, is it the type of games that PlayStation offers, or is it the controller? I'm just curious to know what it is that's kind of, just kind of keeping you at bay from the PlayStation 5.
I think a lot of it in the very beginning had to do with they were servicing still the PlayStation 4. A
Oh
lot of the
man, yes
games,
they were.
there was, there would, and then once that stopped, I kind of was like, okay, so okay, they got that. Wolverine is at least 2 years out. So, all
Definitely.
right. And so what else is there? And don't get me wrong, I'm heavy, huge, even at my age, still a comic book fan. I got I got more comic books than I know what to do with right now. But I just, outside of the comic book realm, and don't get me wrong, Tekken looks good on both consoles, you know, they, but and I don't have an issue with either controller. And what outside of that, what is it for me, that will go ahead and pull the trigger and buy one and it sit there and collect dust. I mean, and that's something I really would hate to do.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and because you mentioned like Ratchet and Clank, a lot of those games like that really didn't do nothing for me. I never got into them. Uh, Maybe it's, my taste of games, you know, but and if now I will say this, when they did that Unreal 5 demo, ooh, I was
Ooh,
like,
brother.
okay, if all the games look like that, you know, if they all look like that, well, maybe I'm just an eye candy whore, and I will just, buy the console, you know. But
Oh man.
after a few months, I got over that, and I was like, okay, well, what is it? And don't get me wrong, I will get one. I will get one, but it'll probably be like summer. But I'm thinking, well, do I wait for the PS5 Pro
I
at this
know.
point?
I
You
know. I
know,
hear you.
or but I will, by the end of the summer, I'll pick up one. And my thing is, like I said, it's just there hasn't, okay, it's the perfect example of not having a system seller for me.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
You know,
I can
and,
fully
and
understand
to
that.
sum it up, yeah, to sum it up, that's just what it is for me. Like I said, I will get one, but that PS5, because I even thought about going back and buying a PS4 Pro.
Did you really,
Because
Lord?
yeah, I thought about it hard. I mean, at eBay they were going for good, what, 250,
Oh, that's a good price
two,
too. That's a real good
yeah.
price.
So I thought about it hard. I was like, nah, if I buy it on eBay, I don't want to buy nobody's troubles, you know.
I feel the
So
same way, Lawrence. I feel the same exact way, brother.
yeah.
100%. Man, but you know what, Lawrence, though? Now, this is the last question for real. Then I'm going to let you go, but you just jarred my memory again. Tekken 8. Tekken 8, brother.
Yes.
I know that
Yes.
this is your game because for you guys that don't know, do, do you mind if I say it? Yeah, the name?
Go ahead.
Okay. For you
Go
guys
ahead.
that don't know, Lawrence is actually one subset Tekken. One subset Tekken. This
Indeed.
brother, so if you've been listening to the show for any amount of years, this brother has definitely been around for quite a long time. That's why it's just such a pleasure to be talking with you right now, brother. It really, really is. But I would be a terrible host if I didn't ask you your thoughts on
Mhm.
Tekken 8, my brother. I have, of course, you know me, brother. I'm not the biggest
Mhm.
fighting fan. Not against the genre, not at all, but just outside of Mortal Kombat 11, which I will say, oh man, that got me. That game was good.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
darn good. That story
Hmm.
mode and everything like that is. I find myself, Lawrence, if a game has a story mode to it, because I just talked about it on Sunday with the new MLB that's coming up, that's going to focus on the Negro leagues. I
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
find myself, if it is a story there, it's a good possibility that I will buy it and I'll try it. I just need a storyline to go with.
Right.
So as a person that kind of likes to approach games from that perspective, talking about Tekken, does Tekken have a certain storyline to it? I guess I'll start there. With is the storyline, let's just say, kind of on the lines of a Mortal Kombat 11 per se?
Uh, Spoiler free. Yes. There are things
Mm.
there are things in that storyline in Tekken that you're like playing through, you're just like, okay, what is really going on? You know, there, like I said, without giving away anything, there are, characters that you're just shocked about who they are. And I'll just leave it at that.
Man,
And
man.
they're it's a good storyline. It was a good follow up behind the last second. and it really does push the story forward. So, but one thing I will say that I really didn't care for, and
Okay.
it's not in the storyline, it's in some of the other modes they have, where you have the little cutesy me type figure, and you're going through the little arcades and stuff to unlock other modes in the game. I really don't care for that, but
I
you know,
got you. I
the,
got you.
overall, the game is gorgeous. It's the best Tekken has ever been. Um, you know, if and like I said, you're not a huge fighting game fan, but you can still get into it, go through the story mode, and you might go through one of the other modes and play through, and not to make you a champion fighting fan, but you might just get into it. It's like I said, they kind of did their homework as far as bringing back old modes. Because I think Tekken 7 didn't have a ghost mode. I don't believe it did. And they brought that back. And, sometimes you just want to turn, the difficulty on hard and fight against the game itself.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Man, let me ask you this, Lawrence, as well. Now, going from Tekken 7, of course, being on last gen hardware, going to Tekken 8, and I know you alluded to it just a couple of seconds ago, but
Yeah.
how much of a graphical leap did you see coming from Tekken 7 to Tekken 8?
All I can say is Unreal Engine 5.
Woo! Come on, man.
That is the truth. Unreal Engine 5. I
Mm.
mean, I'm not sure what was the last engine. It might have been Unreal 4, but Tekken 8 is on Unreal Engine 5, and it shows. Now,
Man, oh
granted,
man.
all the characters look like they had a steroid suit, but it still looks good. It still looks good. The lighting effects, some of the shades, and it's one of those things that if you have one of those 4K HD XYZ TVs that has all the
The bells and
buttons and
whistles.
tricks and stuff, if you have that type of TV, you're gonna be pleasantly surprised, because it's great. It looks gorgeous. It really does.
Wow. Wow. And what
Yeah.
about the have they added new and man, oh man, you having to take me through the whole thing of Tekken. I only know about certain key characters, Heihachi, I believe, Kazuya,
Mhm.
is his name Kazuya?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kazuya,
His son.
yeah, his son, right. Lee, Paul, Sarah,
Mhm.
and I think his
Sarah
name. No,
or
not Sarah. She's virtual fighter.
June.
That what's her
Yeah.
name?
June.
Yeah, yes. And I think I don't know if he's still around in the franchise, but Eddie, I think Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a DLC character now.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Wow. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well,
So
I
they're
mean,
monetizing some of the characters, in which they do from time to time.
yeah, for sure.
But a lot of those characters that you mentioned are still in the game except for Haji.
Get out of it. You know what? Don't tell me, brother, because it's got to be a
No,
reason why.
no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Oh
was just leave it at
man.
that. Like I said, spoiler free. Spoiler
Yeah.
free.
And I didn't mean to say Lee. I meant to say Law. I'm sorry. Law is Law
Well,
his name?
Lee,
Lee?
Law, he's in the game. Lee, he might be I think he's a DLC character as well.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
No problem. So, with that, Lawrence, did they also add any new characters into the game, or did they pretty much stick with the roster, that they've had over the last several years? Because, like I said, I've been out of the loop so long. Just curious to know. That's all.
Right now, there are right offhand, I could say there are 2 to 3 new characters.
Okay, that's growth. That's growth.
And I'll say this: if you're a King fan, or you know someone who
I
likes to play
like
with
King. Yeah,
King,
the wrestling moves, brother. Yeah.
or they work King out, and
Oh.
you can't do what you used to do, like break some of King's grabs and stuff like that. King's on when King is on you, he's on you. You know,
Whoo, man.
yeah.
Good grief. What you know what? Speaking of that, him actually being on, trying to keep him off of you. What is the gameplay like, Lawrence? How do you like the gameplay on it?
The gameplay is basically this way it always been, but it just looks so nice. And each character has been reworked. I'll say that.
Gotcha.
Some of the moves are the same, their signature moves, but some of the other things to get to the moves you prefer or like, they've changed some of the things around, and some of it makes sense and some of it doesn't.
I gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
the gameplay, I mean, that hit collision thing where it's the last hit between the two characters and they slow it down, and you just don't know. Sometimes you might know, well, he got me, or sometimes you got him. But I like that part. I like
That's
that part.
cool. That is so dope, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, Lawrence. I might, man. Listen, brother. If I can catch it, if I catch it on a good sale, man. I don't know, brother. I might have to give it a shot, man. I mean, like everybody, my backlog is just ridiculous right now. It's
mine's is growing.
Yeah.
Mine's is growing.
Yes, indeed, man. Well, Lawrence, like I said, brother, I want to respect your time, man. I'm gonna get you out of here, brother. But before I get you out of here, brother, what was the name of the other group that you post in that you were telling me about earlier? I just wanted you to plug that, brother. That's all.
Well, it's One Core Gaming on Facebook.
One Core
One
Gaming
Core
on
Gaming.
Facebook. Definitely go over there, check them out as well. Lawrence, he does such a fantastic job, posting different stories. This brother's just absolutely amazing and just incredible. Before I
Thank you.
finally, oh, absolutely, Lawrence, most definitely, brother. But before I finally let you out of here, are there any final words you would like to say to the people, or anything else that you possibly may want to, plug, like your gamer tag or things of that nature?
Well, you can find me at on Twitch, One Core Gaming, and my channel is I'm So Dead because I die a lot. I'm So Dead on Twitch, and if you want, just hit me up, and my gamer tag is one subset, and I'm always willing to play, depending on what it is. Always willing to play.
That
No
sounds
problem.
absolutely excellent. Lawrence, I just want to truly, truly thank you again, my brother, for
Thank you.
stopping
Thank you,
by
my brother.
and having
Thank
the
you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. I just truly appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me and, finally being able to chop it up. It is just greatly, greatly appreciated. It's been a real treat for me, my brother.
Me too. Me too.
Yes, indeed. So with that being said, guys, as always, if you enjoyed the conversation and if you would possibly like to be a part of a future conversation, whether it's on for the next feedback episode, or you may have some other thoughts about some things that you would want to say. So if you want to interact with the show, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-380-0281 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is simply the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, joined again by the great Mr. Lawrence Jones. Thank you again, brother, for stopping by. And with that being said, we will probably be at it again on Sunday. So as always, get out there, play some games, and have some fun. We're out of here. Bye-bye.